Hey people, guess what? That was the wrong video.
Come and take a seat while I bring the heat. I'm your host with the most. My name is Dizzy, and I'm definitely going to keep you busy.
Grand rising, grand afternoon, grand evening, wherever you are in the world. Guess what? I'm not by myself. I have got my brother from another mother, Jules Jullien, joining me today. You know what? I'm so gassed and excited. Oh, I was so excited, Chris, that I had to have a nap.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
Yeah.
I feel really good now. How about yourself?
I nap every day. I believe it's. I have a theory about sleep, and napping is part of it. Like, you can recharge really quickly. It's like a supercharge. But I like what you just mentioned there, how you napped because you were excited. It's almost like you can preserve your energy.
Yeah, well, I actually felt so drained. I thought I need to lie down. And I thought I need to lie down, and I set my alarm before the show.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have just gone throughout, but no, we are here to do an important job, okay? And that is to dream big. So with that in mind, we're going to put on the anthem, because, ladies and gentlemen, this song encompasses what we're about to do, which is dream big. And then once you've got that big dream, stretch it, make it bigger, and then make it bigger and make it bigger, because we're going to show you how to make big things happen, okay? So dream big and watch this.
This is a message for everyone who is listening. Hearts and minds connecting, building a world community. This is the moment the people are coming together. Spirit of transformation, reunite in the meaning of we. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? Well, Transformation Day, let's make a difference. You for me, and me for you. This is the moment, the signal, the claps and the ringing, the alarm to awaken, to ignite the passion within. Ready for changes, the spirit is stirred and shaken. Now we are primed to awaken. New chapters for us to begin. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? Well, Transformation Day, let's make a difference. You for me, and me 'cause we forgot that we could see. We can dream better. We sing it aloud to be the best that we can be. Can be. Can be. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? World Transformation Day. Let's make a difference. You for me and me for you. Transformation. What is the biggest thing that you can dream of? What can you do to make it true? World Transformation Day. Let's make a difference. You for me and me for you.
We're back.
Wow, what a moving song! Like,
Well, you know what? Every time I play that song,
yeah,
it takes me to a place where I think, wow, I've got to go
Yeah.
bigger. I've got to
Yeah,
make it.
it def-
It doesn't matter what you're doing. You've got to do more. You've got to do more after hearing that. So
yeah, it definitely
So-
helped remind me of the size of the world and all the different people in it. Than
oh yeah,
just like my local, environment and the mindset. Sometimes you can get swept in that you're, in a state of mind of the people that you're around rather than the globe, like the world at large.
Mm.
Yes, yeah.
So we met. How long has it been now? Since 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge you because you've impacted my life from one meeting. When I say, I don't say good morning anymore, I say grand rising, and I do that every morning. So I want to acknowledge you for that because grand rising sounds a lot better than good morning, and I got it, and that's what I do all the time now. As you heard, it was grand rising, grand afternoon, or grand evening. So we're just making things a little bit better than they already are. So the subject of parenting this month, I love it because the month of relationships, I personally was selfish and I improved my own relationships with myself, my wife, my son, and everyone around me as a result of delivering and finding out about relationships. And parenting, I thought, I can't wait for parenting because I'm a parent. I'm a new parent. I've only been in parenting 5 years. I never really liked kids before. So last week, the lady I had on, she talked about conscious conception, where that interview was just off the chain. She's going to come back. So this week I thought we're going to talk about something else to do with parenting, which was, everyone's at home with their kids, or if you have kids, a lot of children are going to be having their summer holidays. And I've always believed that the schooling system that we currently have is what we have. I'm not going to knock it. However, if you don't agree with the results it produces, if you, like myself, I believe if you go through the schooling system without challenging it, and you just become a normal person that's going to go out of school and get a job. If that's your current scenario, when you have the summer holidays, to me, that's the advantage point. What are you going to do with your kids in the summer holidays that's going to improve their life when they go back to school? Because that environment is down to us. And something that I'm a firm believer is that the early years are going to shape how you grow up as an adult. And I think it's really important to know that your circumstances do not determine where you're going to end up. So I knew that if I wanted to speak to someone about anything, I know after talking to you, Chris, you cover everything. So I thought, okay, this week let's get Chris in, and he agreed. So thank you, Chris, for being on board, and it's a great pleasure to have you in the conversation.
I appreciate being invited, and I love to speak publicly. So yeah, on this topic in particular, which I love, you covered a few things there, Dizzy. Before I begin, I want to confirm no one has the right to tell anyone else how to parent. Parenting is a role that we all will undergo at some point in our life, whether that is simply nurturing another human being or another sentient being like a dog, a cat, or a pet, or even as simply as raising plants. That is what parenting is. It's taking responsibility for another life and doing it, you know, the best you can. You spoke about situations and scenarios. You're right. There's a classic saying, and that is, show me the 7-year-old, I'll show you the man. And that speaks a lot in a sense that the early days, the early doors of raising a child, so to speak, like, for example, shapes who they will become. Now, it won't necessarily dictate the outcome entirely, because, you know, you can change your life when you choose to. However, it will shape what will cause you to react a certain way to certain things, and also your relationship with things. I forget what you said something else really important, and I'm really struggling to remember what it was. But yeah, it is remarkable.
What I was saying is your circumstances. It doesn't matter on your environment. So there was a friend of mine. I wanted him on the show today, but it'll probably come another time. And I met in South Africa called Ken Brown, and his parents had 5 children by the time they were 20. And his growing up was challenging to the point where his parents had to make a decision on whether they pay their gas and electric or they send their kids to school. And their parents valued kids' education so much that they sacrificed gas and electric so their kids could have an education. So he was going to come on the show, but his mother's just had a triple bypass, but he will be coming soon. But one of the things that he was saying is, you can't let your circumstances determine where you're going to end up in the future. Just because you don't have the right parental guidance or you're not born in the right area does not mean you can't give your kids the best. Because one of the things was, Ken said, he goes, we were in poverty, but poverty never lived in us. And that's what his parents taught him, that you may be in a bad situation, but that bad situation is not in here. You are not, poverty is a mindset, not a situation.
That's right. Some people are so poor, all they have is money.
Yeah.
Right. So you can have riches, and those riches are beyond like money. So yeah, I mean, the situation and wherever you are in life, it shouldn't really have the core effect on what you're developing, like intangibly. So love and emotions and honesty and, you know, all the values that you value, they are built within. They're not built exterior. I was, oh God, I had it for a second, what I was going to say, and it left me again because you was talking, but it's all good. I'm trying to remember what it was I was going to say, because I felt like it was so valid. So
well, it'll come back.
It definitely will. You know, it's fascinating as well. I speak to a teacher once, and she said to me that when she does parent evenings, it's almost like she knows the parents before she meets the parents through the children. It's remarkable at how much they absorb the habits and mannerisms of their parents, of their carers or whoever. So naturally, you want to be the best you can be for your young people, for your offspring. The best way to be is to embody what you want them to be.
Yeah, be the example.
Yes, yes. Lead by creed and deed. It's fascinating because one thing that I've found, especially with like a case study, and this is only my own research, but my theory is that people that have children young need to learn the life lessons, but because they're not capable of walking the path, the gods bless them with children so that they learn the lesson through their children.
Mm. Yeah, no, I mean, I know when I met my wife 11 years ago, one of the things I said to her was, you choose your parents before you're born. And she looked at me like some nut job that's just come out of the hospital. She's on the right page now. She gets it now.
I love what you said there. I think I know what you meant. What you're going to go with that. Is it that we're spirits and we are in the realm of spirituality? We're just floating. And when you see a couple, that's your opportunity to say, yep, I'll go with them. Whatever you don't know the life though. You don't know the life, but you just choose the parent.
I think that the soul knows the life because of that. Because if you're the only restriction we have is we think we're this body. So if you think you're the body, you're already restricted. Okay. The moment you release the body and you realize you're a soul, spirit of unconditional love. Once you realize you're a soul, you can look at a couple and my belief was, or is, that you can analyze whether this to facilitate it, but because you're born, you can't talk, you can't communicate, and if the body, when it goes through trauma, you forget everything. So the trauma that this baby has, even in the stomach, may or may not know what's going on, may know that this is the couple that's going to give me what I need to become the person I need to be. However, the trauma of being in this dark place and then coming out into the light, the baby cries, it can't talk, all of a sudden, memory's gone. You can't remember nothing. You can't even speak because you don't know how to speak yet. You're a baby. Yeah. And then you go through the process as a child, and it's mad how I never thought I'd become my father, but I became my dad straight away. It was like, oh my God. As soon as I left home and I did a few things, I became my dad. And then I realized who my dad was and what I was going to do. My dad's a community leader.
Do you find? Sorry, go on.
I was going to say he's an absolute action man. To fill his boots would be just a miracle. But I believe in miracles, so I will fill him. But he's done community work for a segregated society, and he's done amazing things. So I said to him, you know what, I'm going to do the same work as you, but I'm going global. I'm going to include everyone that's a human being into my work, which is exactly what we're doing here today.
One thing that I found, and I love that you mentioned your father and how you've become your father, is similar to myself and my father, our relationship, and even my mother. And I don't mind saying this now. I reached a certain level of spirituality and reflection and maturity when I learned to forgive my parents.
Okay.
People can only do what they know and the best they can do, and they did their best. They do their best. They do their best. A big thing of spiritual growth is learning to forgive your parents. Now, you only ever get that, and then with that forgiveness opened a new doorway of empathy and sympathy and understanding that actually adulting itself is hard enough, let alone parenting. Trying to combine those two, because you know, you said about your friend who had 4 other siblings and his parents had him relatively young. Can you imagine being that age and having children of your own, and then you realize your parents had gone through that process? This is what I'm saying to people, like in my generation especially, you'll reach that level of wow, like the levels of appreciation for parenting is just mega beyond you can't repay. So you do one of two things: like you either learn to forgive your parents, or you learn to appreciate your parents. It's one of the two.
Mm.
It's very difficult job, isn't it?
Yeah.
I spent a year last in 2020 was my year. I worked in a residential care home for young people who hadn't had the best upbringing in life, and my level of parenting increased through that life lesson,
Mm.
because it's only when you're caring for someone else and you realize all the responsibilities of the role that you are like, wow, this is a much bigger job than I really understood. You know what I mean?
Mm. I think also we're in a very interesting time, because look, the whole world has gone through a pandemic, whatever people want to call it, right? There are so many people out there that see this as a tragedy, but at the same time, I know so many people that see this as a miracle. This was exactly what was required for the planet. So I'm not one of those that's against people. Okay, I'm up for the reality, which is this is an opportunity for everybody to wake up. Wake up not to what's going on, but wake up to what you're capable of. I mean, for me, my son is one of the most important people in the world to me, along with my wife and family. However, I also understand that if I was to leave the planet tomorrow, I know that a father figure will appear because of my belief system. So when I was, I think it was 15 years ago, I came across a guy called Dr. John Demartini. And he has this philosophy through his research. I know that you're smiling. Have you heard of John?
I just like the name. What a great
Oh,
name.
mate. John Demartini. He sounds like a drink, yeah?
It's a great name.
He's an absolute legend, but he's obsessed with research. And when I went to South Africa, I actually remember hating one individual to the point where I would have happily got arrested for abusing or getting violent with this guy, because he was restricting a load of people. Anyway, I went to this John Demartini seminar. I went to a speed reading seminar first, and he took me from 45 words a minute to 450 words a minute in 2 hours. And I said to him, I said, mate, you are not a speed reader. What the hell are you about, mate? What's going on here? You 10x my reading speed in 2 hours. You taught me how to read from my stomach. Come on, man, who are you? And he goes, if you'd like to spend 24 hours with me, I have a program this weekend. So I rang my missus. I said, listen, I'm staying in Johannesburg. I've met this guy called John Demartini. I'm going to spend 24 hours with him. So I went into his seminar, and the first thing he said was he went through the breakdown of how life is spiritually, mentally, physically, and he physically just explained it on a level that I've never been blown away with the knowledge. And he said, put down somebody you believe you have a negative charge on, somebody you don't like. And this guy's name went straight in the book. Mate, I do not like this guy. Anyway, cut a long story short, that was at 10 o'clock in the morning. By 10 o'clock in the evening, I had nothing but love and gratitude for this guy. And I hope that my children have the same qualities as him. And I was like, excuse me, how the hell have you done that? Because before this conversation, I was ready to put this guy in his coffin, okay? Now, I've got nothing but love and gratitude for the guy. Anyway, so as a result of that, I did some more work with him. And there's a theory where nothing is ever missing. And when I looked into this thing, I realized, because I left home at 17, I was a naughty boy. So my father wasn't there to influence me from the 17 above. However, I saw all the father figures that were in my life.
Yes.
Whenever I thought I didn't have a father figure, the father figure was there. The universe provided a father figure at every aspect of my life as I went throughout the life. So knowing that gives me the greatest satisfaction, knowing that if I was to leave the planet, I know that my son would have different father figures that would step in here and there whenever. So I mean that's a system that I believe, and
I totally agree. There is a deep spiritual thing that would happen when we were in tribes, and that would be rites of passage. Young men, regardless of who the biological father was, would undergo teachings and education from the tribal leaders, and it would happen in different stages. So you would get the young boys that would need mothering. Let's not pretend they're not ready to step up. But when they would reach a certain age, and this would happen in all different tribes, not just like what I would say native tribes, but also civilizations. Like, for example, the Vikings, when a boy was of age that he could pick up like chainmail, like the armor, when he could pick it up with one hand, he would be deemed as ready to go into the next stage of passage. So they would go off into the wilderness with all the men, and they would learn how to be men. So the funny thing is, I can relate to that because, I was a soldier for 8 years. When I turned 18, I joined the British Army, and I never had a father figure that could take me to the next step of manhood. So I would undergo my rites of passage, but through the British Army. And before then, I suppose I was sourcing information from other men. So you'd take a leaf out of other people's books. It's quite remarkable, actually, that you said that. And because, we do live in a civilization, in a current climate where we are all a bit on a mystical journey. Like, we're trying to do what we know we're supposed to do inside, like through our DNA, like this rites of passage, like we would in tribal times, but we're just trying to do it in modern times, like current times. So it's very important you said that, because a lot of people would associate parenting with biologically, that's the mother and that's the father, therefore they have to do what they're supposed to do. I get it to a degree. However, you can have a father figure through an uncle, or even a teacher or a preacher. You can find someone, and this is what I love about current times, because although we are not so this is going to sound real out there, but bear with me. Although that younger generations are becoming a bit desensitized to being in a family unit, so to speak, we're not so close knit anymore. They're still sourcing the information they need online. So there's so much education out there for them, even if they're not getting it like we used to. So this rites of passage, it still exists. It's just the method of teaching the teachings or teaching the education would be done a different way, So
it's like right now, the purpose of the show is to make people aware. So the only thing, we can't force you to do anything. We can make you aware of where you are in life. We can make you aware that, listen, did you know that you can influence how your child sees the world? Your child doesn't have to see all the negativity that exists right now. If you've watched, we don't watch TV at my house. We have 2 TVs, but we don't watch them. We only watch whatever we want to watch. And I'm so grateful that we don't have that in our house. The TV is not the central point of the family life. It doesn't revolve around that box. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who do have that. And for those of you who do have that, it's just a part of being aware. Is really what I want to do. Do I want to watch other people's lives on TV because my life is not that interesting? Because look, right now, everyone's got a choice. The reason we're on this show today, if you're watching live or you're watching a recording, then the idea is, what are you doing? Or how are you spending your time? Because a friend of mine shared this video on this little girl. She did a TED talk, and she said how peekaboo has changed the world, and it's an amazing video, and it shows how babies just want love, connection, and laughter, and the practical things. They want connection. You know, the in the video, the parent starts looking at his device, and the child wants interaction, and she's crying, saying, "Connect with me, connect with me." So, you know, we all have devices. I mean, we're on a device right now, but the idea is become aware of the impact you're having. So my son, I know if I put a device on, he's hypnotized. I can't communicate with him whilst the device is there. However, there are some things that he watches on the device that are educational. But I think the key is understanding that everything you are doing is impacting your kids. Everyday behavior. I know I'm getting it's under control now, but my anger, I sometimes lose it. And the fact that my son sometimes loses it is purely down to me. I know that. I take responsibility for it. And I've said to him, I said, look, sorry, son, I reacted. Sometimes you can react, and a reaction is something you do without thinking. A response is something you think about, and then you respond. So I remember saying this to a guy in London when I used to have yellow hair. So I had yellow hair. I remember I'm in a pub, I've got yellow hair, a yellow jacket, and yellow pants, yeah? I look like a banana in a pub. Anyway, this guy started talking to me, but he was taking the Michael to the point where I could have been insulted, but instead I turned around and I said, can I buy you a drink, mate? And he was like, what do you mean? I knew he wanted a reaction from me, so I didn't give him what he wanted. I said, look, let me buy you a drink, because I could have grown up meeting you and had you as an influence of my life, and I would have been wearing green cords and a check shirt like you instead of a yellow jacket. So let me buy you a drink, mate. And all of a sudden, this guy who looked like he wanted an altercation was faced with love and let me buy you a drink, mate. And it just dissolved everything he had. But
I love that you did that. You're aware enough consciously to see that we have more in common than we do differences.
Yeah.
Some people cannot see that. They only see the differences and aren't prepared to see the similarities. And what you managed to do was literally break down those barriers, break down those walls, and immediately try and connect with him on the similarities that we're both in here to have a drink. And when you do establish that, it does create more like, I love that. And you're absolutely right. Like, you do choose who you allow to influence you, but children are like sponges. So if you embody love and peace and all of positive values, so will the child naturally. But one thing I've noticed about parents, and this is just case studies in general, is that there is no handrail and no one's giving you a pat on the back either. And I think most parents need that pat on the back. You need to know you're doing a good job. If your kid is fed, has a roof over their head, and they're in bed at night and they're sleeping, and you know you're doing your absolute best, someone somewhere needs to tell you, good job. Good job. It is not. It's daily. It's a daily thing, and you know it's not easy at all. You know, you hear these stories of, especially recently, there is a young 18-year-old girl who abandoned her child. She left her child unattended for, I think it was like 4 days. Came back, and the child had died on arrival at hospital. And you know, it's quite right now a real popular topic, because why are we having an 18-year-old girl caring for a baby? Now, there are definitely levels to parenting that, you know, back to what I quoted earlier today, no one can tell you how to do it. No one should be the judge of what you're doing, whether it's right or wrong. Your child shouldn't be on the tablet. Your child should be on the tablet. Your child shouldn't be eating that food, should be eating this food, whatever. You've got to allow people to do what they think is the best thing to do. However, when a person is at a stage, I'm not going to say age, at a stage where they are not an adult, they are going to struggle to parent big time. And as a result, like, this current news story has highlighted, if anything, why it's so important to take parenting seriously.
Mm,
You know,
100%. Well, look, speaking of parenting and children, you know, one of the benefits of this organization is the children of the slums. So every week I do play the appeal. So we'll take a short commercial break. Well, it's not commercial, it's an emotional break, we call it.
Yeah.
So let's, for those of you that want to contribute to the organization, this is who we are and what we're doing, and we're spreading the awareness about children and parenting. So let's play this
This is
video.
a personal appeal to all our friends and family around the world. In April 2018, we launched World Transformation Academy right in the heart of the slum in New Delhi in India. On a regular basis, we have both the slum children and their parents being transformed with sessions of life coaching, yoga and meditation. Regularly, up until now, we have between 500 to 600 people attending these sessions every month. The cost is approximately about £1,000 a month. Our vision is to expand this to all slums around the world.
So we've been able to do this work with the help of our generous sponsors. But what we'd like to do now is to continue and expand the work that we're doing, is to open the opportunity out to more people to get involved. So if this is something that you would like to get involved in, please connect with the World Transformation Organization, or you can make a donation, whether it's a monthly payment or a one-off payment, using our Just Giving link.
Did you know over 65 million people live in slums all over India, and 6 million of them are children? There are more rapes and suicides in slums than anywhere else in India. We want to impact these figures with your partnership. So we really need your help right now. This is a personal appeal to all of those that love making a difference. We urge you to generously contribute to our cause through the Just Giving link, and watch the 6-minute video that follows this, just to get a real feel of the difference that your money will make. This is an amazing cause. We look forward to your partnership.
I live in Kalkaji slum area, and I want to be an IPS officer. I want to stop the crimes and rapes for girls and these things. I want to change my sister's life.
17% of women experienced some form of physical violence in the past year. Individual factors related to the husband, like poor socio-economic status, consumption of alcohol, extramarital relationships. Reported cases vary from domestic violence to brutal rapes, mental harassment to sexual violence. Many more cases go unreported. A woman is raped every 20 minutes in India, National Crime Records Bureau.
I'd like to narrate a small incident that one of our volunteers narrated to me. She said that there was this young lady who had come over for her 3 introductory sessions of meditation, and on the 3rd day, when she had a one-on-one session with the trainer, she broke down completely, and she said that, last night I wanted to commit suicide because my husband is a gambler, he doesn't work, and whatever money that I get home, he takes it all and spends it all in gambling, and there's no use of my life. My life has been a struggle, and her mother-in-law was so scared and petrified that she sat beside her throughout the night, scared that she would take that extreme step. And in the morning she got up, she got dressed, and she came for her meditation session.
About 800,000 people commit suicide worldwide every year. Of these, 135,000, 17%, are residents of India, a nation with 17.5% of the world's population. Almost 6 million children live in the slums of India and has the highest rate of child sex ratio. 8.9% of the total victims of rape were girls under 14 years of age, while 16.1% were teenage girls 14 to 18 years. over 65 million people live in the slums of India. Slum dwellers usually earn $1,900 a year. Young slum girls on their way to defecate in the open fields are abducted, raped, and at times hung from a tree, as in the case of the murder of 2 minor Dalit girls in Badon village near Delhi. Since the launch of its personal development school in the New Delhi slum, World Transformation Organization, through its regular life coaching, meditation, yoga, and motivational training, has started to transform the lives of slum children and their parents. For the first time in their lives, the slum community is being taught how to create dreams and goals, and have started their journey to realize them.
Always brings it back to reality, that video.
It definitely does, yeah. It again gets you out of your local mindset and helps you see globally some of the things that are going on. And I love that you guys do this. I really do. I feel like, you know, be the change you want to see. No one's going to do it. We can wish all day, but wishing doesn't do anything. You got to make it happen. You have to make it happen. I was just thinking, like, in my head, like, what is going to fix the problem? Let's get to the root of the problem.
Well, I think the root, it starts with us. You know, we are the change. I think, you know, we have to employ it within ourselves in order for it to have an effect. I know if I want my son to be a certain way, I've got to lead by example.
Right.
I have to. And the funny thing is, since I've given him that example, whenever I slip up, he's old enough to put me back in check now as well, saying, Daddy, he motivates me now. I mean, one of the great things that Dr. Ambika said last week was, we have just as much to learn from our children as much as we have to teach them. You know, because
I love that you just said that.
The thing is, what children can teach us is the essence of being pure. Because look, everyone that's born into the world has the ability to learn any language. Okay, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what race you are. You produce a baby in any country, and they will learn that local language from a baby. Because as human beings, we are so unique that we can be programmed any way you want. Yeah, it's given. Every child that is born can learn anything, and because I've studied personal development for 25 years, as I didn't realize that was a subject that you could study. It's like, well, I'm studying human beings and why they behave the way they behave. You know, somebody could have studied plumbing, okay, and you will be useful in a house, because when the plumbing goes wrong, you know how to do the waterworks. It's an essential skill. I chose to study human behavior, and it's funny because I said to my mum and dad, I've written a book, and it's the subject that I'm really interested in. It's a subject, if I was at a party and it's 6 a.m. and everyone's tired, I'm tired, and I've got no energy to talk. Everyone's got this in them. Yeah, when you talk about a certain subject, all of a sudden you're not tired anymore. That's a clue. That's a clue to why you were born. Yeah, if there is something that gets you so excited when you talk about it, it's got to be something that God has ordained for you to become really good at. And if you're really good at something, guess what? You can make a living out of it. Yeah, if you're really good at anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If you are the top 5% in the world at that subject, you'll make a living. You make a really good living.
We all deep down within us know what our calling is. It's just trusting to do it more and more and develop the skill of it. And yeah, desire plus skill times faith will get you your outcome.
Yes. I've never heard
I
that
like,
one.
I like that you said there, Dizzy, about children. You learn from your children. They're there to pick you up. They'll teach you what we kind of become desensitized to as we grow older, because the world has that effect on you. The current situation, like the current climate, it breeds two sides to the coin. And as an adult, I guess you learn the balance of that. Whereas children, they haven't developed an ego yet to protect them or to, project them. They're just pure form.
Yeah.
Language barriers are always tough as well. Like, they are one of the biggest problems that we have globally. And I always said this, why is there not, which there should be, but why is there not a universal sign language that should be mandatory in schools from as early as we can, like develop the skill? Therefore, if I was to go to China and their school system teaches the sign language and our school system teaches the sign language, when we go there, I don't have to learn Chinese. They don't have to learn English. We just understand each other through sign. And that could have been like a global thing. Have your local language wherever you're from, but globally, let's have a global sign. But yeah,
it's really
everything
good.
you said there. Yeah.
So, on that note, I remember when becoming a parent, I've got a lot of mates that are parents already, and one of my mates, he's one of these clever guys. He's the clever clogs out of everyone. He's the one that always comes out with something better than everybody else. And when his child was born on the 1st of the month, 2000, everything just was perfect. He got married to a non-Indian girl, but he had the perfect Indian wedding. It was like the Indian gods got married in the mountains. Oh mate, this was his second wedding as well, right? He was one of these kids. When we grew up, he was just as naughty as me, but none of his parents knew because he'd sneak out. And my parents thought he was such a good guy. And they'd say, why can't you be like him? I'm like, listen, you don't know about this guy, yeah? You think he's Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, but he's just as bad as me. Anyway, so in his second marriage, when he had his son, they taught their child sign language before he could speak.
Yes.
So he could tell them when he was hungry, when he needed his nappy changing. And I was like, oh man, you always find the best things, don't you? And it just reminded me of what you just said. And the thing was, if you can communicate with your child, and if you're a new parent, you'll know when your child is screaming, it does something to you. But one thing I learned, because as a parent, I've never done it before, I started buying books. I've started doing research. What does a baby learn in the first 3 months? What does it learn in the next 6 months? What do they know? What are they aware of? What neural connections are happening? Because everything that happens as an experience gets logged into your hard drive, and that shapes what your view of the world is.
Yes.
So knowing this makes you aware of, okay, what am I creating for my son? What am I creating for my my daughter? What's their view of the world? So I've been so conscious of that it sometimes brings conflict with me and my wife because we're in different worlds. But again, that is necessary because my world is not just the correct world, because my world is a bias to whatever I like. And my wife's world has a bias to the things that she likes, and the things that she likes are not what I like. So you have to love everything. And it was funny, John DeMartini says that if you and your partner are different, all the things that you say are you own those things. And all the things that you say are not you disown those. So your partner will also have things that she owns and things that she disowns, as in, that is not me. I don't do things like that. These are things you disown. Now, all the things that you and your partner disown, as in, these are not us at all, you'll end up producing children that display all of those things, because the purpose is you have to love everything, okay? Everything is love. Just because it's not matching your idea of what you think life is about, doesn't mean it's not love. So your children will produce and do all the things that you hate because you have to love your kids. So as a result, you're always going to face, so in my family, and I've looked at this after learning this, every family you look at, there'll be the children that do everything, there'll be one child that does everything opposite to the parents, and they're called the black sheep of the family, right? Every family's got one. But the idea is you have to love that too. So I know everything that my mum, dad, brother and sister disown, I'm that guy. Because they have to learn to love me too. It doesn't matter what my opinion is. It doesn't matter what my brother's opinion is. They're all valid opinions. It's just opinions. And I think once you can learn to love those, and I know my son challenges me every morning because I like to wake up without moaning. I've got a rule in the house. You're not allowed to complain or say anything negative or be ungrateful before 10 a.m. in the morning. Yeah? And it was hilarious because
it's your house, it's your rules.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So I'll say to my son, listen, you're not allowed to complain first thing in the morning. We have to wake up and be grateful for life, okay? That's the morning routine. But he manages to challenge me every single morning, and I still love him. But I've learned to manage my expectations because you can't be, not everyone can be positive first thing in the morning. To think that, to expect that of others is a little bit unrealistic. And maybe my own sense of managing my own expectations was what was required in my house. But that then filters throughout the day for me.
Yes.
I want to have a nice, healthy, positive morning. But that has rubbed off onto my son anyway. He's supercharged first thing in the morning, bouncing off the walls.
Like young people are. And
yeah.
One thing I find, happiness begins when expectation ends. You have produced a human into this world. You have created a human in this world. And therefore, whatever it brings, you can't have an expectation of. Let it be. And you'll be happy because the outcome will just be whatever it does. Dogs have a nature. Kids have a nature. We as adults, people have nature, and nature is natural. Yeah, to restrict someone from being natural isn't fair. One thing for sure that I've noticed, and again, this is all case study of my own, is that you shouldn't punish yourself either for maybe not doing something because all you did was what you thought best at the time. That being said, flip it on its head. You cannot force an outcome thinking that's going to be the best way. And the story of the alcoholic father, where he had two sons, twins, and one grows up to be an alcoholic and the other one grows up not to drink alcohol. And when asked, the boys respond with, the first one says, I'm an alcoholic because my dad was an alcoholic. I saw it all my life. You know, it's his fault. And the other one says, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't touch alcohol because of what my father did. So as a parent, as much as you would like to influence your children, which you will to a degree, sometimes their perception isn't down to you. So you've got to just do what you can and do the best you can. I'm sure
manage your expectation.
You're doing great.
100%. A very, very valid point, because there are some parents that, I mean, I did it. I don't want my son to be like this. Listen, you haven't got a choice, mate. Your son's going to do whatever he wants to do.
Naturally, that's his nature.
Are you happy? If you're happy, we're good.
That's it. It's remarkable what you can learn through your children. My levels of understanding increased when I was working in the care home, the residential home. I thought I knew, and the reality is I didn't. Working with these young people, they showed me a perspective, a new life, a way of realizing, wow, I was so set in my own mindset, and they're gonna develop. I don't work there anymore, but they're gonna develop. They're gonna grow, and they'll have new influences, and they're gonna shape their world. And I will accept them however they come, just like I accept everyone however they come. What I find fascinating is that show me the 7-year-old, I'll show you the man. Because when I meet people now, when I meet people in my life now, I do, for a split second in my thought process, imagine them in the school playground, how I would meet them like a younger. So imagine you and I met in the school playground, how we would be to each other. And that innocence of children, it creates a smile in us. It creates a warmth in us.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, because you have to remember, as much as we are grown-ups now and adults now and having this conversation, there was a time when the innocence of us would just be, we would just, and that's what we should be embodying throughout, you know. So it's something for like the viewers watching and yourself as well, Dizzy. When you meet someone brand new, for a moment, maybe 1 minute through the initial contact, try and see them as a 7-year-old. Like, imagine being a 7. You can see mini Jules as a 7-year-old and mini Dizzy as a 7-year-old, and imagine the conversation. Imagine how we would be. It just creates a warmth and an innocence that we all still have, and I think we're all still searching for.
Well, I mean, the example, my son is 5. He's got a cousin called Cameron and another cousin called Lyra. So these are my dad's sister's kids. And I've grown up with my cousin for years. She was a little kid to me. I stayed with her when I moved to London, and she's now married. She's actually married to a soldier, believe it or not. So they came to visit today, and he was excited to meet his cousin. He's never met Jaden before. They've kind of spoke on FaceTime, but he was so excited to come and meet his cousin. And Jaden was like, "When's Cameron coming? When's Cameron coming?" And their interaction with each other was just so much excitement. They were like, "Oh, we can do this, we can do that." And obviously he's going to be talking about Jaden all the way back to his house in Cornwall. But their excitement level is just, it's infectious if you allow it to be. I mean, my wife says, "Can you stop acting like a child?" No, I can't. I'm excited. You know,
I love that. I love
something that Tony Robbins, I learned at one of his seminars, was he said the reason children are so excited is because they're learning new stuff.
Yeah.
Adults stop learning new things. And he did this theory where he took a load of 60-year-olds that learned to play golf, and they all learned how to play golf, but all of those people looked younger whilst they was learning because they were excited. So I try and learn something new every day. Or if you're learning a new skill, I mean, being on YouTube, doing TikTok. I mean, I made that one TikTok video after speaking to you the other day. And I showed some younger people my TikTok video, and all these young people got excited. They said, "What, you're on TikTok?" And I was like, "Yeah." But I'm learning. But it's getting me excited because I've got new stuff to do. I actually feel like a kid. Yes. I actually feel like a little excited kid. Good. That I'm doing these shows. I mean, look, before I go any further, I want to appreciate and send some love to Al Pasoni, who coached. This was a nervous thing. My first ever show 8 weeks ago. I took my beard off, but I was more nervous about the broadcast than taking my 10-year beard off. So Alpa, thank you for your coaching. She was there. She's done a lot of shows before, and I was absolutely bricking it. And I wasn't expecting myself to brick it because I've been on stage in front of thousands. I've been on stage with Les Brown. I'm not scared of an audience, but there was a level of fear involved with this 18 months ago. So I'm excited that I've got this thing going across the screen saying like, subscribe, and share. You know, when you watch YouTube people saying, like my thing and make a comment and subscribe. To do that, I'm also going to learn some new skills this week where I get to chop up the videos. Yes. I don't have to do that yet, but I'm going to learn it this week.
Definitely enjoy the process.
Oh yeah.
And also having young people in your life, like there was a a TV show or like a case study, like a public social experiment where they would put children into a care home with old people, and the results were phenomenal. How the old people started to rejuvenate. Like they started to become young at heart again. They started to, it's like this magic of contrast of life, you know. And this is very important because you're right, when we get older we feel like we've learned so much already, but then with the beauty of having children or the young people surrounding you in your life is they will teach you new things. They will expand you again. They will expose you for what you don't know, and through that process transports you back into a learning state. There's a great book you'll love, Dizzy, if I can say anything to you before we close, and it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. When I got shown this book, her concept is very, very easy to grasp. There's growth mindset and fixed mindset, and she teaches through her book the importance of it, and it highlights to the reader, like, wow.
What's her name?
Carol Dweck. Carol Carol, like Christmas Carol, and Dweck Dweck, and it's called Mindset. And it's a brilliant book. I promise you. You read that, and it's like, it's just one of those life books that you are very grateful you got exposed to.
I'll put it on the screen now. Carol Dweck.
Yeah, Carol Dweck Mindset. And yeah, she basically shows how you can grow old, but you can still have growth mindset to keep you young. So I love that you're on TikTok now, and I love that you're doing YouTube now, because nothing should be stopping anyone doing anything. It's just those limiting beliefs in your head. I'm too old to do that and whatnot. I saw a video on TikTok the other day of a 67-year-old man in his back garden swimming pool doing backflips with his grandkids.
What?
And it's just great. Yeah, because they influenced the youth in him. They influenced this energy in him that just made him do a backflip into the pool, because they were all doing it. Whereas if they weren't there, he probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So look, let's make today's takeaway for all the viewers that have been watching live and those that you're watching and recording. What can you learn from your kids?
Yes.
Look at what you can learn from your kids, and what are you teaching them by your daily behavior? Because it's that thing of don't do as I do, do as I tell you is not the way forward. Yeah.
But
People
also
do.
pat yourself on the back. If I want to add to that, Izzy, if I can, give yourself a huge pat on the back. Parenting is probably the hardest role on the planet. There is nothing like it, and it's every day, and it's, you know, it's enduring. So it is continuous learning, constant. And so I'm just saying to all the parents out there, give yourself a pat on the back. If you've got your kids fed and they've got a roof over their head and they've got clothes on their back and you're doing it every day consistently, then I'm here to give you that pat on the back. I'm here to give you a round of applause. I'm here to tell you guys, like, you're doing it. And keep doing it. Yeah. Cool. You need to. 100%.
Right, well, Chris, listen, it's been a pleasure to have you on. We've hit the 1 hour mark.
Dizzy, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Dizzy.
It was easily done. So thank you, Kalpesh. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Harinder. Thank you, Harinder, for hooking this up.
Yeah.
It's funny, Harinder wanted to be on one of the parenting shows, but I think he's busy parenting. So we might secure him next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about co-parenting. Okay.
Nice.
Because not all parents are going to stay together. And if that is the situation, then we need to look at how you can be co-parenting, but be empowering to each other, because blaming each other can always be the wrong thing. So we're going to either be talking about co-parenting or parenting at a very early age. So if my brother Ken Brown is available, we'll have him in. If not, we're going to be talking about co-parenting, because that is, again, an important part of the future.
Very interesting. That is going to be a great episode.
So if you're watching this, you need to like, subscribe, and share. I feel like a YouTuber now.
You are a YouTuber.
I need that bell. You know when it goes cha-ding, ding, 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 and the point over there. But Yeah, so thank you, Wizard Woo, in the background. I know you've been there. He's not showing his face today, but I know he's parenting too, you see. So summer holidays are challenging, but we appreciate all of you that have come on board and contributed. And for those of you that are listening, watching, we wish you the best. So thank you very much. Namaste. It's been a pleasure.
Peace and love.
See you same time, same place. Or the other thing that I forgot to mention, for those people that regard today as a special day. So we started the show at 8 o'clock because it's 08 of August. So we've done a 888 maneuver. And for those of you that are into the Lion's Gate, this is a portal, it's an opportunity. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. If you believe it, it's an opportunity to do something amazing. It's confirmation that you can do something special today. If you need to know that, if you need an excuse to do something special today, Lion's Gate portal is for you. It's your excuse to go and do something spectacular with your life. How about that? So on that note, I will see you in the future.